This right here is a new up-and-coming vacuum cleaner that's going to be on crowdfunding. It's called the Obode P8. What is different about it is it's focused more than ever on mopping performance and mopping. Like others I've reviewed and I've checked out, this particular unit here is the Auto Clean Station. So this is where it will dock up. There's a washboard in there. It will wet and wash those mops. And there are two water deposits. So one is fresh clean water, which is 4.7 litres, and then 4.8 litres is the wastewater, where it's going to be flushing and then sucking all that water and the debris out and storing it all that you'll later need to tip it out. The robot vacuum itself has your LiDAR laser navigation. It's got a fully fledged app that has all those typical features like multi-floor support. You can set up no-go zones and adjust the mopping performance to go over some areas, for example, a few more times, or the wetness of the mops themselves. So the mops on the underside, they're orbital ones that go along scrubbing the floor, applying 15 newtons of pressure. So that's why it's a lot better than other vacuums, robot vacuums, that just drag around a microfiber cloth. It also does have its own water deposit within it, which is around 240 milliliters, and this means it doesn't have to go back and dock like others to wet those mops. It can just keep going. So the vacuum performance is 2000 PA, it sweeps and it vacuums, and it does have a 6200 milliamp hour battery, which is good for around 2 hours of mopping and sweeping. In the box you'll find our two side brushes, so one is for the left hand side, the other the right. They are color coordinated. And then our two mops here. So these mops, the good thing about it is you can actually pull them off. It's not stitched into place there with the plastic backing. That can come off. It's got Velcro that's holding it in, and you can get replacements for these too, of course. Now this here has a magnet that keeps it on there, okay? So it's not going to go anywhere. It's spring-loaded too, so there's some pressure that's been applied. They've measured it. It's 15 newtons. And the design here, you'll notice that it's more of a square design compared to others that are normally circular. So this particular model here has 2000 PA of suction performance. The battery capacity is 6300 milliamp hours. So it can go for 2 hours mopping and sweeping and vacuuming, or just the sweeping and vacuuming for 2.5 hours. It does have LiDAR. This is the laser at the top, so that's going to be mapping, along with plenty of other sensors that I'll show you shortly. So right at the top, we do have our power button. You've got the spot clean button and then back to the dock to charge it. If you lift this up, you've got access then to our dustbin. So at the top, the filter, which is washable right here, and you can pull this dustbin right out like so for emptying it. Now that's just over 400 milliliters, the capacity of that one. And right here we do have a water tank. Now this water tank normally is filled up by the actual auto clean station. Right here is where it's going to auto fill it, or you can fill it up manually here on the side. This too is removable. The capacity is 230 milliliters, that water tank. So that's what's going to be wetting those mops on the bottom. On the underside, you'll see the two sweeper brushes. We've got the wheel right here, which is 360 degrees. Now, these wheels have a good tread pattern to them with the motors suspended either side, and they can tackle climbs of around 2 centimeters, which is good. The main brush here does move up and down a little, so it's got a bit of play to adjust to different floor levels, and this, of course, is removable. So you just lift that up. You can then access and pull out that main brush if you need to clean it. And you need to do that actually regularly with maintenance of these. Now the mops, they simply just fit on either side, okay, like so. It's just got the magnets there that keeps them in place, so they're not going to be falling off at all. We do have these sensors all around the sides and the front. That's to detect any drops in the floor. And there is a sensor up here too as well, which is the carpet detection sensor. So it knows there are mats and carpets and not to go over it in the mopping mode. Up the front here, we have some more sensors and your typical slam sensor, which is the push-in sensor too. So when it does accidentally bump up against something like furniture, it presses in, it knows that it's hit something. On the left side, there is a side sensor here. So this, what it's doing is just pinging the distance to the wall there so the vacuum can get nice and close with that side brush. Finally, along the back of it, we've got these two contacts. So that is where it will be connecting up to charge when it is docked in the auto clean station. And our mop auto clean station, which is very large as you can see, but this is where it docks in and the mops are cleaned automatically by this station. Along the top, we have some status LEDs and two capacitive touch buttons here. So one of them is for it to go back to the dock to clean the mops, to charge, and then a start and stop button right here. We get a few other lights along here, depending on the status of it. Right now, it's asking for my connection. And then up here, you'll find our water bins, our water tanks here. So we've got clean water, which is 4.7 liters that you put into that tank right there. And this one is our wastewater. Now, the wastewater tank, this one is 4.6 liters, the capacity of it. Now, to empty them out, you can simply just open them up. The whole lid comes right off, which is rather handy. Just inside there is the washboard, and you can remove this for maintenance because eventually it is going to get a little bit dirty and you need to rinse out all of those parts in there. And finally, on the rear, there is an area for some cable management for that power plug, which is great to see. And now a brief overview of the application. It's called Obode. You can get it on iOS or Android right here. When you go into it straight away, you will see the P8, and you can go into it, change settings. Now, you do have to set up an account with them. You have to pair it up to your Wi-Fi network. That's pretty standard there. You go in here, the first thing you will see when it loads up is our map. So you can save 3 different floors. You can edit the maps, and I'll show you just quickly some of the settings we do have with this application. So you got your cleaning records, scheduled cleaning, the voice, accessory lifetime, all pretty standard. Robot settings right here. So it will take a few seconds to load up normally, depending on some of these settings. That's the do not disturb time. You can reset it, time zone, and the maps. Of course, I'm saving all of those. And you've got your firmware updates, base station settings. So this is to do with the dry mode. So hot air drying, after it's done all its mopping, we'll give it a good clean and then dry it out so it doesn't grow any mold or mildew. However, it takes about an hour, maybe even longer than that, to dry it. You hear it on, it doesn't make too much noise, and I'll give you a sample of that later on in this video. So when you go out of this, you've got options here for cleaning. So you can go and clean by room. It will automatically label them, as you can see. And then you do have zones. So you can set a zone, for example, okay, I want it just to clean this area of the kitchen. I want it to mop there because it's very dirty. You're able to do that. Now for our settings, when you look at the whole house here and the zones too, you can adjust this. So you've got your options. You can sweep and mop at the same time. So there's a few problems with the translation with this app because it's saying sweep and drag in one, but they mean mop. Sweep only, mopping only, sweep and mop. So standard there as well with others that I've seen, these type of vacuums here. And then you go into this here is where you can edit your maps. So you're able to go along and set up restricted areas, no-go zones, clean order for the rooms too. You can change that and edit the rooms too. So it's quite a fully featured app there. It gives us lots of different options. As it's cleaning, you see the path where it's going. And right now, it is in the dock there, charging. Okay, so what I'm testing out here is running on pre-release firmware. So it's not final yet, the software. And you see that too with the application with some of those translations and things. But I can let you know how does it actually clean with my tests here. So like the other LiDAR laser mapping robots that it goes around, maps out and then goes around everything first, and that'll be under beds, around furniture. The 2 sweepers will drag in any debris, suck it up as it goes along, and then those mops on the back of it, of course, go along scrubbing. The mopping performance compared to any other vacuum that I've tested so far, especially those ones that just simply drag around a microfiber cloth, hardly applying any pressure, certainly not scrubbing, is so much better than those ones. You'd really see it. So intentionally, I left some spilt, I think it was orange juice, on the white tiles on the floor. And for a few days, we'd walked over it. It got really dirty, and I thought, hang on, well, that's going to be a job for the P8. I wanted to test that out. And in just one pass, this clip that I'm showing you now, it was only one pass, went over it, and it made a huge difference. Remember, it's sticky orange juice, and I was really surprised at how it lifted it off. So it's looking like it does quite a good job. In fact, an excellent job of mopping. Now, you can set up zones to be just done twice. For example, dirtier areas, your dining room area, your kitchen. The Obode P8 here, we'll be able to go over that twice, and then it really does get rid of pretty much everything. We've noticed that the floors in my house, especially the area with the white tiles, are just looking so much cleaner. And the results of the mopping performance do speak for themselves. When you empty out that wastewater, it's all brown, grey, dirty water. The mops themselves, this is one that it's already cleaned in the station, and it still looks, well, a little grey now, but it's nothing like it was originally. You can see that those mops, after they've just cleaned, they get absolutely filthy, depending on how frequently you do this in your house. But I've got a household with quite a few kids, so that's why it's quite dirty, and animals and things. But it cleans it out reasonably well, and the wash station right here with the washing board. It's basically scrubbing it. It's a process that it does. It scrubs it all out, spins it, rinses it, and then sucks up all of the waste into that waste bin there to collect it, that you later on need to empty it out. So the water reservoir will be used up about 2 to 3 times more than the actual wastewater one. You empty that out about every 3 or so times before you've actually filled up the water one. It's a lot slower because it's filling up the reservoir, and that gets just used up on the floor too as well there. Now it does make a bit of a noise when it spins out the mops, and a funny gurgling noise too. It sounds a little bit like a coffee maker. My old office coffee maker used to sound like this. Here's a sample of it. Then it does dry out the mops within it. Now the drying process will take about an hour, hour and a half, and it does make a little bit of noise, but it's not too offensive. It's not very loud. Here's a sample of the P8 here drying those mops in the auto clean station. So one of the other positives of this one is that where the LiDAR laser is here at the top, it's a sealed unit, so there's no gaps in there. And what's happened with some of the previous models that I've covered, they end up getting sometimes loose hairs stuck in them, and they get wound around the motor. At least that's not going to happen with this particular design of the unit here. So all up, I think the Obode so far in my time testing it, this Obode P8 is excellent. Excels in mopping. It is just a pre-release unit that I am covering here, so I'm not labeling this as a review as such, but really good at the mopping there. It's just a few things need to be ironed out first, and that of course will be done before it is sold. So it's going to be on a crowdfunding website. There is a link in the description of the video for that. And thank you so much for watching my unboxing here, detailed look and a little bit of a test of the new Obode P8.